Hello there. It is another day here in sunny Israel on this 14th of October, 2025. Was it Monday? It's Monday, yeah, Monday. 13th, 14th, whatever date it is, honestly. Brain is so frazzled. The good news is that today, on this Monday in October 2025, just a couple of days shy of the 2-year mark on the Hebrew calendar, um, since October 7th, 2023, all of the living hostages that were taken by Gaza and their ilk, by Hamas and their ilk into Gaza, have now been returned to Israel. They've been freed from Hamas and they are in Israel, on their way to the hospitals if they're not already there. Some of them have already met with their families, and they're beginning the long process of recovering from that deal. That nightmare is over, but there are still dead bodies in Gaza that are still uh, yet to be freed and returned to Israel so that their families can bury them properly and have a place to mourn over their loved ones. And so that terrible part of the war is still ongoing, but all the living ones are at least free and back in Israel and reuniting with their families, loved ones, and beginning that process. And at the same time, President Trump is in the Israeli Knesset, the Israeli parliament in Jerusalem, and he is addressing the Knesset as I speak, after a bunch of standing ovations for him and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and the IDF generals and chief of staff and et cetera, ambassadors, heads of state, Prime Minister Netanyahu, the whole deal. And so Trump is addressing the Knesset, after which he will then depart Israel and go to Egypt to meet with President Sisi, or General Sisi, or whatever his title is. And then there will be a one-day summit, like today, of a signing of a document. I think it's today, right, or tomorrow. It's supposed to be today, as far as I know, in Sharm el Sheikh, in the Sinai, in Egypt. And there they will sign documents. Originally, Israel and Hamas were actually not invited to this peace summit, which is kind of ridiculous that you wouldn't invite the two belligerent parties to this conflict, the two main belligerent parties to the conflict. Iran turned down the invitation because, of course, no hablas español. It's not very well. I understand a little bit. Saludos. Saludos, hey, hello, Argentina. Peace and love from Israel to Argentina. We thank you guys for your support here in Israel. So this part of the war is over, but as I've said many times, the war ain't over. Far from over, in fact. Unfortunately, the reality is that this is not simply ending today, as much as people would like to say otherwise. I know President Trump has said the war is over. And all of the right-wing media are saying, oh, it's peace in the Middle East, because he said it in a tweet or something. Just because he says it in a tweet doesn't make it so. The Hamas has officially said through multiple channels, with multiple spokespeople, in multiple news outlets, that they do not intend to give up their weapons. They do not intend to withdraw from politics. They do not intend to give up power. And they said flat out that they only have accepted phase one of this deal, which is basically the exchange of hostages for prisoners after Israel withdrew to the 50% line. Israel withdrew to the 50% line, going to ceasefire. The ceasefire went into effect, and the hostages are being returned to Israel, after which the Palestinian prisoners will begin to be released. All 2,000 or something of them. And this fight has a long way to go before it can be called over, because until Hamas actually gives up their weapons, which they are supposed to do according to the plan that they said they don't accept, they have to negotiate phase 2 and beyond. They also have to withdraw from power, which again, they don't accept. So it makes all the rest of it moot. For example, an international force taking over power instead of Hamas. Hamas insists that it be a Palestinian group, which means that they obviously just want to, change their name, basically, right? Create a new group with a different name, have all the same people in it, and be like, yeah, we're taking over. It's not going to fly. But that's what they're trying to do. Nobody should be surprised by that. And that is definitely going to scuttle the deal, because Israel is not going to accept Hamas in any way, shape, or form, even under a new name, to be the new power in Gaza, if they're still the same psychopathic ideologues who want to destroy Israel and kill every Jew, etc., every Israeli, and so on. So that is the quick update on the situation. But overall, it is a joyous occasion here in Israel, and people are generally celebrating and very happy. The living hostages, at least, are all back home. And of course, the families of those who will be mourning their loved ones have yet to receive the remains of those who are still in Gaza. And Bipin Joshi, the one Nepali hostage, was being held in Gaza to this day. 24-year-old man at the time that he was captured. Not Israeli. He's a Nepali. He was visiting Israel, studying or working, something like that, and was captured and was believed to be alive for quite a long time during these past 2 years. But he was not on the list of the living hostages, so it is presumed that he is no longer alive, which is awful. My heart breaks for his family, and I have great sympathy for them. I send them my love and my thoughts and prayers. Really, I find it just terrible what happened to their son, and that he was captured in the first place. He was harmed in any way, especially because he was a guest here in Israel. And we like to protect our guests in Israel. We don't want anything bad to come to anybody who visits Israel. When something does, it hits especially hard. Because this isn't even his fight, he just came to Israel for an opportunity to learn or work or whatever. And that ended up costing him his life because of some sadistic jihadis who don't care who they kill in Israel, as long as they kill people. So yeah, this war is far, 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 far from over. They would not, there. I would not say that we are in a time of peace, because we're not. We've not reached a peace treaty with the Hamas. Very far from it. And really, there cannot be a peace treaty with Hamas according to their own ideology. They need to change their ideology. And zebras don't change their stripes. So you can put a wig on a pig, but it's still just a pig. And that's the real talk. If you guys wanted to hear something blowing smoke up your backside, but I'm not going to do that. I'll tell you what it's like for real. That's why you come here, right? That's why you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to talk about this stuff, because I'm not going to give you fluffy niceties that aren't realistic when it comes to talking about this stuff, whether in times of war or times of not war, like active war, because technically Israel has been under attack from enemies since the day of its reestablishment as a state. And so there's never really been a time of complete peace in Israel. We've had times when we felt like we were at peace, but very clearly we were not. So that is why as much as I'm happy that the hostages are home, and I am, I think that there are consequences for this action. For example, if Hamas does not lay down its weapons and withdraw from power, what is Israel going to do? Because according to Trump, Israel has a free hand to go and finish the job and do what it has to do so, and it will have the full backing of the United States government. But at the same time, now that 500,000 or so Gazans have moved back into northern Gaza, which, by the way, how are they moving back there if there's nowhere there for them to live? Curious, right? Oh, because 70% of the buildings are damaged or destroyed. Well, that means damaged or destroyed, which means a bullet can hit a building, cause a little hole in in a wall, and it's considered damaged, right? But it's still a livable building. Sure, a lot of buildings are destroyed, but many are damaged and still very livable. But that's going to create a problem in terms of what is Israel going to do in order to finish what it needs to do to get Hamas out of power. Are we just going to bomb the living heck out of all of Gaza? Probably not, right? And if we got 500,000 people now back in areas that Israel was in control of 3 days ago, now all of a sudden, what, we have to retake all that land? We retake all those cities just to, and tell people to get out of harm's way again and do all that campaign again at the cost of how many hundreds or more Israeli soldiers' lives? For what? To get Hamas out of power? Maybe it would be just easier to make a parking lot out of Gaza. I'm not for that, by the way. I'm really not. I'm just saying, from a strategic military point of view, they might make that risk assessment analysis and say, you know what, we don't really want to send in our troops anymore for this stuff. Let's just take them out from the air and, no longer give away our element of surprise. But that would, of course, cause more unnecessary or avoidable civilian deaths. Still allowable under the rules of war, but unnecessary or avoidable. And that's not something Israel is likely to do. And I'm glad that they wouldn't, because I don't think innocent people should die. Not even one if possible. But the reality is war sucks, and it happens all the time. So, am I optimistic? Again, I am always cautiously optimistic, but I'm also very realistic. I realize that the people that we're dealing with here are not exactly big fans of the idea of having peace with Israel. So, I'm Yisrael Chai. What can I say? It's good that we have a nation and an army to protect us. And it's good that our qualitative edge remains as it is. I have a lot more to talk about on this topic and more. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, follow, whatever, comment, share. And I'll see you guys in the next one. For now, shalom.